Welcome, everybody, to the Seattle Sports Union podcast. My name is Abraham DeWeese. I'm back with the Southwest Seahawk, Rob English. Rob, here we are, day after the miserable experience of yesterday. I know people out there, Rob, been telling me that it was a great game. I can never accept that in a loss. It was not great. It was not great for me.
No, 100%. I stand by that. The game is never, no matter how good the game is, it's never good enough if you don't win. It doesn't matter how many points are scored, how many big plays there were. If it didn't end with a W, it's just not good enough.
We lost 38-37. This was not the way I had predicted this game to go. I thought this was going to be a low scoring game. And I definitely did not expect after halftime that we'd climb our way back into the into the game.
Yeah, no. The game was, I mean, honestly, it wasn't too surprising. I didn't think it would be so high scoring against Tampa, but as the game kind of progressed, it seemed to kind of make sense. And obviously, we saw as the game went on that neither defense was really going to show up for this. So I mean, it's just so hot and cold. Like, and it's we fall into that trap where we can't get both sides to do right at the same time.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. There were a couple things I was thinking about as far as turning points to this game. A lot of people just point towards the Sam Darnold interception at the end. Obviously, still had a shot at it, but I kind of wonder if the turning point might have been when Rick Woolen got injured.
I find that to be kind of funny, like kind of comical, because if you think about it, for the last few weeks now, people have been calling for Rick Woolen's head, haven't they? So, so the fact that he went down with I think it was a concussion, the fact that he went out, and then people were begging for him to be back on the field. I'm like, wait a minute now, let's keep it consistent, right? Because you guys are ready to cut the guy over the last couple of weeks because of a couple plays that he made, had a couple penalties, he got beat. The interception that he didn't make against San Francisco in Week 1. People were ready to have the guy's head on a stick, but then we got Pritchett in there, and we saw the drop off between Woolen and Pritchett. So you can't please everybody.
Well, I guess with all the injuries, this kind of ends the trade rumors, doesn't it?
Percent, yeah, because I mean, I guess you bring Shaq Griffin in, right? I mean, he comes up and maybe plays a little bit more, gets some time on the field, but yeah, I don't think you get rid of Woolen. I mean, it's to me. Listen, it was only a couple of years ago we were so upset, right, that he didn't get more consideration for Rookie of the Year over Sauce Gardner, right? And now so it's just what have you done for me lately? I understand that, but no, the guy he's got world-class speed, right? He's been a little handsy on defense, let the guy play football. That's where I'm at with it.
Yeah. When we look at Sam Darnold, he went 28 of 34, 341 yards, 4 touchdowns. Great day, or is that a great day by him, or is that just the evidence that the offensive line finally play to their potential?
Well, I don't know that it's one or the other. The O-line played outstanding, and when they didn't, with the exception of that last play on offense, Darnold made plays. I mean, that touchdown he had to Torrey Horton at the was that the third quarter?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, where he got out of that sack and found him wide open, that was amazing. Sam, I mean, I don't want to hear anybody talk any more crap about Sam Darnold the rest of this season. I mean, the guy was lights out all game long. He damn near had a perfect passer rating until that interception at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I mean, like, what more do you want from a guy who's coming in, first year quarterback with first year with this team? And I mean, he's lighting it up. I mean, he's arguably the best quarterback in football right now. So the offensive line playing great. Can't take anything away from them. But Darnold is out there playing football.
I'd kind of hope that we could run a little bit more to set up the pass. I think going down, what did we go down? 13-0. I think that kind of warranted having to pass to set up the run, but we still ran 20 times, 122 yards. Did it seem to you like here's what I thought in my head is like these runs are great, but they seem to be either 20-yard runs or like hitting the backfield. Like I was hoping for a few more like just 5-yard runs that set up a short first down.
Yeah, I think you hit it. When you go down early like that, it kind of it shifts the game plan, right? Like it's natural to shy away from the running game when you're playing from behind because it gives you that sense of urgency, right? And then as the game went on, it looked like, I mean, we did run the ball I mean, we ran over 400 yards, but it just looked like
Mhm.
the passing game was working so well, and we weren't going to stop Tampa on offense, right? And when Tampa had the ball, they were going to go down the field, right? So since the passing game was working, we needed to be able to make those explosive plays, and they kept working. So just keep doing what's working. I think a lot of times we get mad at coaching at coaching staffs because they go away from what's been working all game. So I would actually kind of applaud Mike McDonald for sticking with what was appearing to work, and it worked all game long.
Yeah, definitely. Now, how come, from your viewpoint, why didn't the offense work in the first half, first quarter, especially where I think the time of possession was they had like 12 more minutes than we did?
Yeah, it was pretty one-sided. I think we just kind of we were slow out the gate, you know, like maybe our gate didn't open, right? Like if at Emerald Downs and one
Yeah.
of the gates malfunctioned, but we recovered, you know what I mean? And scoring before the half and getting the ball back, that was perfect, you know what I mean? So it was the perfect, recipe to stay in the game. But I think we just kind of stumbled out of the gate. And when you look at it, how mad can you be when you put up 35 points?
And that's a good point. That considering, yeah, we'll talk about the defense in a minute, but considering how we'd been playing in the first four games, that should have won the game. A very silly play call. Jalen Milrow sprint option to the left. I know I got in arguments with other people on our chat string. That's not what I want to see out of Milrow. I could do a read option because I saw him do that at Alabama a lot, but it just seemed like that play. It looked like they never practiced that play before. I'm sure they did, but
Well, you and I don't agree very often, Abe, and today is no different.
okay. You enjoyed seeing that play?
Well, listen, if you go back and watch the play, right? The play was blocked up right, and even when the fumble happened, I mean, there was enough time for that ball to be bobbled in Ken Walker's hand like two or three times before it finally hit the ground, and he went to lunge for it. And then, but he unfortunately the ball kind of bounced away from him and right toward the Tampa Bay defender. So if that play hadn't happened the way it had, if that pitch would have been caught, I think I think Ken Walker probably gets substantial yardage on that play. I mean, it was blocked up right. There was time there. Now, the worst possible thing happened. I liken it back to the whole Super Bowl throwing the ball on the 1 yard line thing. It was a relatively high percentage play, relatively speaking. It just the worst possible thing happened. And I don't know if I really appreciate Walker trying to handle that pitch with one hand. He probably could have got another hand on it,
I'm
you
going to
know.
disagree with you here. That was not Walker's fault at all. The pitch
I'm
was
not
a
saying it
foot
was his
behind his
fault. I'm just
head.
saying
It was a really bad pitch.
it wasn't a good pitch. It wasn't a good pitch, but I mean, I feel like players in the league, they're overconfident in their skills and ball handling, or whatever it may be. But I think he could have gotten another hand up there to try to secure that pitch. I definitely blame it all on Milrow's pitch for sure. But I don't have a problem with it being run to the short side of the field. I
I
mean,
hate that. I cannot stand that as an option. It
yes,
drives me
but you got to
nuts.
think about it, Abe. Listen, sometimes you got to do the other thing, right? If you're gonna get somebody with the element of surprise, doing the thing that makes the most sense every time, you're never gonna beat anybody in that sense, right? So
Yeah, but
run to the short side, you're doing the other thing.
the problem is though the NFL linebackers are faster or as fast as Milrow. Okay. And they closed those gaps really fast. It was a desperate pitch. I didn't like the play. I've watched Alabama football. It's not a play he does often. I would really hope that Clint Kubiak just shoves that in his garbage can. Whatever, you know, however he disposes of it is fine with me, but never ever run that play again. Okay, we're not gonna agree on this one. So let's just move on to the next topic here. At wide receiver, I'm kind of curious. A lot of us have been pounding the drums that like maybe another receiver, veteran receiver, might be needed, but AJ Barner's made vast improvements from last year. Elijah Arroyo looks useful. Torrey Horton doesn't look like a rookie. Like that's amazing. And then Derek Young seems to have made improvements. I don't know if we need that extra receiver anymore.
No, I don't think I don't think we do. And again, when your quarterback throws for 340, and 4 touchdowns. I mean, what between Baker and Sam Darnold, there was only 10 incompletions on the day. I mean,
Wow.
both quarterbacks were lights out, right? So, the quarterback was finding the open man, and guys were getting open. I mean, JSN had 8 catches, Cooper had 6 catches, Barner had 7. It was a boat race for both for both teams,
Yeah.
really, in the passing game. So yeah, no, I think we've shown that it's one or the other. Either the passing offense is really good, or
Mhm.
Tampa's defense in the defensive secondary is really not good. But I don't want to go that route, because then what does that say about ours? Our defense is supposed to be lauded, right? Like, we have one of
Yeah.
the greatest secondaries in the NFL, if you let anybody tell you, right? So
Yeah. We'll get there in a second, but you could be right. That just could be a miserable Tampa defense, because I don't think there's any sacks on Darnold. I hardly remember even any pressures. Maybe just a couple, but it could be they just don't have the pass rush that some of the other teams we played have.
we would have rather seen him take the sack when he threw that interception, though. I imagine
Now that interception, didn't that bounce off a guy's helmet?
it did, and I don't really blame it on him so much. I mean, I think if that ball isn't careened off of the crown of the helmet of that defender, what was it? Vita? I don't know who it was, but whoever it was who got hit in the noggin there. I think that ball probably falls to the turf, as it reaches its intended receiver. The defender was right on him, so I would imagine that ball probably just falls incomplete. But because it bounced off of the head, it stayed in the air a little bit longer, and so the defender was able to make a play on it. So I don't really fault Sam Darnold for that one at all.
Right on. Yeah, I was a little too high up in the stands to really get what happened, but I did read today that it was bounced off a helmet. So, yeah, who knows though? I mean, we had our chances, and I want to talk about Jason Meyer, our kicker. Missed another field goal. He's 9 of 12 on the season. Something off with him right now.
I don't understand why it seems that our kickers, we get a good kicker, and then after a year or two of just outstanding production, they seem like they get a little bit of the yips, right? Like, no, now Myers has always, in my opinion, had a little thing with extra points, but if you
Mhm.
give him 50 plus, he knocks it right down the center in most cases.
Yeah,
But yeah, 9 for 12 is, I mean, I guess it isn't the worst, but it's not Jason Myers numbers, right? So
it's not, no.
yeah, so
And it's where he missed. It's where he's missed these. I kind of give like a free pass if it's over 50. Whatever. That's hard. But that one that he missed was makeable, and in a game where you just lose by, what did we lose by?
3.
3.
No,
Yeah,
30 at 35, right?
boy, we could have used that.
Could have used those 3 points.
Yeah, man. Well, let's talk about what I haven't been wanting to talk about today. But let's just dive in here, pull the band-aid off. 4 straight weeks, we keep teams under 20 points, and then this meltdown happened. What happened?
Apparently, I don't know, Tampa saw something. They saw a vulnerability in the middle of the field. I feel like this is a thing that keeps reoccurring in Seattle's defense over the past, I want to say, between 4 to 6 years, where we just can't stop the middle of the field. And when it shows itself, it's really ugly. The middle of the field was open all day long. Um, what's the receiver over there in Tampa? Yeah,
Emeka,
Ibuka. Yeah,
yeah.
Ibuka. I mean, he was in the. I felt like he was just there all day. All day he was just there, just catching balls and getting run after catch. Um, I don't know. I feel like at some point you got to make that adjustment and take away the middle of the field. Maybe they were worried about going, anything over the top or outside. But yeah, it was really bad. I'm still wondering how it was so bad, literally for 4 quarters.
Well, you mentioned Nehemiah Pritchett. Nehemiah Pritchett, seventh rounder out of Auburn. And we got to see the drop off there in quality from him, from Reek Woolen to him. But he plays outside. So in the inside, that would have to be guys like Trice Knight. Oh my God, did I get his name right this time?
You always say Tyrese.
Tyrese Knight. I don't know why I want to say Trice. Anyway, the more I think about it, the more I keep getting it wrong too. But anyway, him, the guy that he was splitting time with Thomas, and then there was no Julian Love, so you had Okada back there. Yeah, that's the weakness right there. Is Okada's back there, Thomas. We always knew Knight wasn't a great pass defender. He rarely ever comes in on third down, but they seem to pick on, like you said, over the middle, which would be him and Ernest Jones, their zones.
And I wonder if Iman was maybe because he went out semi early with he got
Mhm.
banged up and then he came back on the field. I wonder if maybe he was just hobbled and unable to, maybe he was
He
hindered
got
by
injured
whatever
again.
whatever banged him up early.
Yeah, and he got injured again.
Is he out now?
No, but I saw him hobbling off in like well, that might have been the third quarter,
Yeah, yeah. I was saying that he went off the field at one point and then he came back on, but I don't know if he was
full
his
speed.
his whole self.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And then keep in mind, this is only his second pro game, right?
Right. Right, because he got hurt earlier this year. So
Yeah, yeah. So,
yeah.
yeah, it all looks shaky. And then we have to, of course, call out the defensive line too. One sack. I mean, and if you don't get sacks, you need at least to get some pressures. And it seemed like Baker Mayfield had a lot of time back there.
Well, the frustrating part is we held down the running game so well, and maybe because, Baker threw the ball 33 times, so, but I mean, they ran the ball, what, 24 times on the day, and we held them as a team to like what around 60 yards, all day
Oof,
long. So I mean, the running game was held down. So you made a team one dimensional and you still couldn't handle it. I mean,
right.
that where so to your point, where was the pass rush? We just couldn't get there. And that had let Baker, sit in the back. And Baker didn't do a whole lot of running in this game. He had a couple of runs. I think he had one or two first down runs, but he didn't do a lot of his, stuff that he does as far as using his legs. He just you gave him too much time, and you really only get a couple seconds in the secondary of real coverage. Something's
Yeah.
gonna open up before too long, and it happened all day.
I want to say there were more injuries, like Demarcus Lawrence wasn't there. Was Derek Hall there?
Derek Hall got hurt
He
yesterday.
got hurt. Yeah. So, I mean, this is just a disaster on the defense. I really wish we had a bye this week.
Yeah, it was almost like we're playing at Arizona, with all the injuries.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my god, it's terrible. I was mentioning like the offense kind of came on late. I was in the stands and I couldn't really tell if like they made any adjustments right before the half. Did you get any vibe as to what started working?
Um, I couldn't really see. I feel like we just played our game. I didn't really see a whole lot of adjustments that made much of a difference. I think we were relatively balanced. I mean, if you look at the yardage anyway, I mean, if you throw for 300, what was it, 340 yards, and you have 120 plus yards running the ball, that's a balanced day.
You want that you'll take that every game. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's absolutely a balanced day. So I mean, I think you play this anytime you get numbers like that as a team, you win those football games, right? So this is probably maybe more of an anomaly. I want to believe that our defense is better than this. We've got some opportunities to show it here coming up pretty soon. But if we can play football like we did on Sunday, there's going to be notches in the W column for sure.
How many punts? There are 3 punts total. So it seems
It's
like
crazy,
neither defense really had any stops, did they?
right? No, the defense might as well not have even been there.
Put out
It was
tackling W's
crazy.
instead.
It reminds us of like the Detroit games from a couple years ago. Remember those that where we
Oh
just it was
yeah.
like I think we scored in the 40s. Both teams scored in the 40s. Like, it was it's wild. And we just didn't come out on top this time.
So I saw a quote from Mike McDonald. He took the blame. This is kind of like it looks like to me the maturation of his political, game, as far as like speaking to the press. Like when they asked about the interception at the end, he said, "Yeah, we want that playback, but what we need to do is get better, better prepared for these games." And that's my job. I'm just paraphrasing what he said, but I kind of liked hearing that from him because some of his pressers after last year, he almost looked like a guy that was in over his head. He's obviously not, but speaking to the media is part of that
Yeah, he probably, got some PR training over the
over the
offseason or something
summer.
like that, right? Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I take what the coaches say after a game, win or lose, with a grain of salt. You take the blame because you're the coach, you're the leader, you're supposed to be the one to put your guys in a position to win. I don't even know if I would say that he didn't. I mean, obviously, we think about Mike McDonald, you think defense, and the defense was an epic failure today, right? So
Yeah.
it's or not today, but yesterday, and you kind of want to let it slide because the other team defense couldn't stop your offense either. So it's almost like a zero sum game there, right? But we expect defense, I think, more than anything from this team. So when that fails, extravagantly, it
Mhm.
doesn't matter how many points we scored on offense. I'll take a 24-point game on offense if we can stop somebody on defense. So it's rough. But I mean, I appreciate him for you take the blame, move on to the next game. That's all you can do.
Right on. Sports Illustrated, John Alfano. I'm going to quote this. I'm going to take this quote right from him. Sam Darnold produced a masterful performance, completing 28 of 34 for 341 yards and 4 touchdowns. Uh, and if Logan Hall hadn't deflected that pass, uh, we may be talking about a Seahawks win. And so basically, Fano is stating that there's like a moral victory here of sorts, that the defense didn't have many of its stars. And so he's talking like that the Buccaneers are a quality team, and so are the Seahawks. Is there a bright side to take out of this? Take
I
away
think
from
so.
this?
I think so. I think that I'm going to go ahead and stay on the side of that our defense is still as good as we think they are, but our offense really showed that they have the ability to go out there and put up points with the teams that can go out there and put up points.
Mhm.
And so, I mean, when you can go out there and score 30 plus points, you have the ability. And Sam Darnold's performance was masterful. I think it's safe to say that this is the same guy who played at Minnesota last year and the argument was, is he going to be able to do all those things in Seattle that he did in Minnesota? He doesn't have Justin Jefferson, right? But, he's got some receivers here in Seattle, and he showed that he can use his tools to perform. And so I think we can put that conversation to rest. And yeah, I think we have plenty to look forward to. This is a 10-win team. I think this is a 10-win team. If you win 10 games, with everything being up in the air in the way it is, you're looking wild card bare minimum. So and who knows how things look in December.
Yeah. I honestly think, I don't know if you watched any of the Cardinals game yesterday, but I think everybody got it wrong. The prognosticators, that is, yeah, I agree with you. The Seahawks team is better than last year's Seahawks team that won 10 games. So playoffs is definitely where this team belongs. I do kind of get concerned though. 1-2 at home this year. Last year they were awful at home. Does that bode ill for the rest of the season, or is that just the luck of the draw of the teams you get?
I think it's probably more luck of the draw. I mean, we've been so good at home for so long. It's upsetting and it's foreign, right? It's unnatural to not just, assume that you're going to win at least, 5 games at home, I mean, we went for a while. We didn't lose a game at home for like 2.5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
So we've been treated to, a great time in Seahawk football when it comes to playing at at Lumen. So I think we'll get it right. We've got opportunities to win at home. It's luck of the draw. You play some tough teams at home. It's tough to win, but the 12s are always going to be there, making their noise.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, we had the Niners when they were at full strength, and we got Tampa, who looks to be a pretty good team. Earlier today, there was that Chiefs Jaguars game. I know this is a Seahawks podcast, but uh, what the heck's going on with the Jaguars? They're at the top of their division, and they're looking good. Yeah, I'm baffled by this.
We've been waiting for the Jaguars to do something for a very long time. And even today, I don't know if it was more ineptitude on Kansas City's part or if it was, Jacksonville playing so great. I mean, the winning score by Trevor Lawrence happened on a play where he goofed. Or it wasn't necessarily his fault. They were right there. They got a pass interference in the end zone with under 40 seconds, 30, 38, 35 seconds left on the clock. They got a pass interference in the end zone, ball on the one. And on the very next play, Trevor Lawrence gets his foot stepped on and he falls as he's dropping back. But he gets up, he tries to get up, and he falls again. Then he gets up and breaks a tackle and runs it in for a touchdown. and ended up being the game winning score. So even in victory, it just looks foolish in Jacksonville. But like you said, they're leading their division. Maybe finally they're coming around. Trevor Lawrence is I don't know. I don't know what to think of him. You hit it right on the head. I don't know what to think of him. What I do know is that Kansas City might be human again.
Yeah, I'm happy about that. But I worry about like us going to Jacksonville next Sunday. Excuse me. The game that I thought was going to be like a gimme win might actually be a tough one because they took the Niners out. I forget who they lost to, but I mean like they're 4-1. Those are NFL teams that they're playing. Even if it is, somebody hapless like who's in their division, Carolina. No, Carolina's in the NFC.
Nah,
But you know what I
Jacksonville.
mean? You know what I mean? You still
Right.
have to win these games against NFL teams. And maybe that gimme that we thought this Sunday's going to be is not going to be a gimme.
It's gonna be one of those games where you have to capitalize on mistakes. You can't get a turnover and give it right back. You can't drop balls. If you get a fumble, you got to get on it. If a errant throw, comes up, you got to catch it and hold on to it and squeeze it. And I think that Trevor Lawrence is going to make plenty of mistakes, but you have to capitalize on them. If you give him enough chances, he can make plays. He's a great quarterback. I mean, he's a whole man out there, right? but they do make mistakes, and you have to just be able to capitalize on them, and I think if we do that, we go out there and beat them. We've been playing well on the road. It's very ironic that the Seattle Seahawks are a better road team than a home team here recently, because it's been literally it's the diametric opposition, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So like, yeah, so it's very strange, but we've been playing well on the road. So yeah, let's go out there and just, again, wait for the mistakes or force the mistakes, but capitalize on them when they happen. I think we can get out of Jacksonville with a win.
And they'll make mistakes. Jacksonville, like I think Trevor Lawrence I think he has a bunch of interceptions this year. And if our run defense is solid, they're really heavily reliant on Travis Etienne, right? Speaking of Travis, we get to see Travis Hunter for the first time, don't we?
Yeah, and he actually, he made a couple of plays this evening against
Okay.
Kansas City. Yeah, he, I don't know what his final numbers were. I think he had 3 catches for 64 yards, and one of them was a big one, a deep ball from Trevor Lawrence. He jumped up, I think, over 2 different guys, caught the ball, was kind of flipped in the air, and hung on to it. So he's gonna be somebody we have to keep our eyes on. Brian Thomas Jr. had a pretty good day too. He's 4 catches for 80 yards. Yeah,
Wow.
they've
Okay.
got guys we got to pay attention to. Tien didn't do a whole lot. He was 12 carries for 49 yards. So the running game was kind of held down by Kansas City, and we've been holding down the run. I think if you just gotta make a team one dimensional, and once you do that, you gotta be able to make plays. It's just that
Yeah.
simple.
Well, thing that I worry about is their run game, but maybe Big Cat and friends can stop that. But yeah, I forgot about Thomas. He's a really good player, and they have a tight end, and I'm trying to remember who it is. But what is that tight end's name? It'll come to me in a minute. I'm sure it will. But I worry about what we saw yesterday with the passes over the middle, because that's right where tight ends like to strange, strange. That's
Yeah,
his name.
Brenton Strange. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If we don't fix that over the middle zone, we could be in for a long morning.
Yeah, true. And I think that it wasn't really even tight ends that were hurting us. I guess Otten had a pretty decent day against us, but we've got to stop those. If you're gonna go over the middle and you give up short yardage, okay, fine. But you're giving up balls of 15, 20, 25 over the middle, like that's always gonna be an issue, right? And
Yeah, they were big chunks,
and
weren't they?
right, right. And if it does happen, I want to say that keeping it between the 20s is, but you're still talking about getting in scoring position. You know what I mean? So yeah, we got to figure it out without giving anything up deep in those on the outside, right? Because if you play too far inside, you give up those those outside shoulder plays, and you're right back in the same spot. So we've shown we can do this. Maybe I'm hoping that this game on Sunday was just maybe more of an anomaly, and we'll get back on track without losing anything else on defense, and certainly not losing our effectiveness on offense.
Right on. You got a guess as to what we're going to do next Sunday? Got a score for me?
Oof.
If not,
I'm gonna.
I got to rewatch the highlights of that game today because like Jacksonville suddenly looks a lot stronger than I thought they were.
Well, they were. It was looking like Kansas City in the first half, and then they came out with a 14-point 14-0 third quarter. Jacksonville did so. Yeah, it was strange. Like Kansas City, just like they just hit the brakes. Like I don't know, they just got stuck in neutral or something. It was strange, but I think this might be one of those games that, like you said about Sunday's game, this might be more of a low scoring game. I want to see running the football, right? I want to see Zach Charbonnet and I want to see Ken Walker, get, between them. I like to see us get, 35 carries. If we can run the ball and get
Nice, yeah.
35 carries, you're controlling a game. You're going to keep, Trevor Lawrence and Brian Thomas. You're going to keep Travis Hunter, keep the ball out of their hands. Let's run the football, control the game. Let's maybe lead in time of possession for once. I feel like we're always behind in time of possession, even when we
Mm,
win.
yeah.
So if we can just get some ball control going and get the play action, right? I mean, we had Darnold hitting players, very little play action. And I think if we can get the running game going and we can get a play pass going and maybe get something deep. So yeah, that's what I'll be looking for against Jacksonville on Sunday.
Well, we're towards the end of our show here. Do you have a shout out you'd like to give?
I do. I'm going to give my shout out to, and this is kind of awkward, but I'm going to give my shout out to Mark Sanchez, who had
Oh no.
a very weird beginning to his weekend with the altercation he had, I guess, at some establishment, and ended up in the hospital and I guess arrested too. So I hope whatever ends up happening there, it works out as best as possible for him. And I hope I wish him a speedy recovery.
Yeah, it sounds like there's some things he needs to handle in his life. I really like his commentating. I think he has a lot to offer, but obviously he's got to fix some things. I'm going to
Seems
give my
like it.
shout out to first baseman for the Mariners, Josh Naylor, whose wife just had a child. So he won't be, I believe he won't be at the game tomorrow, but he might be for game 5. But congrats to him and his family. I want to thank everybody out there for watching us here on YouTube and listening to us on Spotify. Rob, I'll remember to hit the Spotify button tonight.
Hit the
And
Spotify button, Abe.
hit the Spotify button. And if I hit the Spotify button, everybody out there, please hit like and share on our content. Also check us out at Seattle Sports U on X as well as Facebook. And on behalf of the Southwest Seahawk, Rob English, myself, Abraham DeWeese, we'll see you guys next time.
Go Hawks.